Many years ago, in the middle of the night, I was at work at 7-Eleven, and a bunch of cop cars start racing down the road, down Mississippi Boulevard in Aurora, Colorado. Then a bunch of fire trucks, then a bunch of ambulances, then more cops, more ambulances, all other sorts of official vehicles you don't normally see rushing to emergency things. And pretty soon, cops stopped by and found out what was going on. The Aurora shooting at the Century 16 had happened. That was my neighborhood theater. I had seen quite a few movies, gone to several dates. Saw I Am Legend, Alien vs. Predator, Irreligious by Bill Maher. Took my sister to go see The Clone Wars when it came out. Um, and actually, The Clone Wars, I think, was the last movie I had seen in a theater. No, The Phantom Menace 3D, that was it. That was the very last thing I had seen in a movie theater before the Batman Returns shooting, Dark Knight Returns shooting. Some of my regular customers either lost family members or were amongst the dead. I got to talk to a lot of people. I got to see a lot of photographic evidence. It was a pretty harrowing night. I ended up kind of leading to my decision to quit working for a while, and long chain of events that ended up leading me to come back to Texas and shit. But after that, I pretty much just stopped having any desire to want to go see movies. I didn't even go catch the first Avengers at a theater, and skipped a lot of stuff. And it was Star Wars The Force Awakens that finally got me to actually go watch a movie on opening day again. Because there was a Star Wars movie, and a long, long time ago, I just kind of made it a thing that it's like I'd take any opportunity to go see Star Wars on a big screen, at least once or twice if it's something new. Even if it's bad, new Star Wars is still fun, or at least it was. And I mean the was part. Because kind of to my shock, I found myself not going to go see Solo. And not because I'm like in the boycott camp or anything like that. I've just found myself in the last 6 months, or I guess 8 months now, since The Last Jedi came out, kind of been turned off to Star Wars because of how politicized it has become. That the two political camps have their positions they have on the property, and it's really hard to have any real, true, fruitful discussion and talk about Star Wars anymore like you used to be able to have without it having these overtones or potentially devolving into an argument that has nothing even really to do with Star Wars. It wasn't like that with the prequels. I mean, yeah, everyone hated the prequels, but we were all on the same page about that. But now everyone's just become fucking schizophrenic about each movie. You get very differing opinions and like, oh, I liked The Force Awakens, but I hated Rogue One. Or people who hated Force Awakens like Rogue One. And the people who like The Last Jedi are typically the people who don't like The Force Awakens but like Rogue One. But the people who like The Force Awakens and hated Rogue One also like The Last Jedi. It's a confusing fucking mess. And it's weird that normally we're all on the same page, good or bad. And the only thing that's really different is all the political shit in the atmosphere and how politics has infected the entertainment industry, and by extension, fans of the entertainment industry. And either, I guess we just all have to bite the bullet and just dive head on into it, and maybe just stop liking the same properties and just cede, like, well, I guess Star Trek is for the liberals, but Republicans can like Robotech and, or whatever the fuck. But the more sane thing to do, the more healthy thing to do, the thing that doesn't wreck like all these common touchstones of our culture, would be if we just stop viewing everything with political lenses. Enough with the feminist theories. I love, from both sides, whether you're a feminist looking for how the patriarchy is oppressing you in a fucking entertainment movie for kids, or if you're an anti-feminist looking for how feminists are trying to oppress you in a fucking entertainment movie for kids. maybe just stop with that and just passively fucking enjoy the movie. Or not. If you're not liking it, you can turn it off. There's no reason to keep talking about it over and over again. It's very psychologically unhealthy and a very bad sign to just be constantly ranting about something you claim to hate. And it poisons the atmosphere. It poisons your perception of everything else around it. I frequently cite this in some of my videos, but the way like a lot of the critical Star Wars community, the anti-Last Jedi crowd, has become so just reflexively fuck anything they hear from Lucasfilm, even when it's stuff specifically designed to be trying to like answer and address the very things that they say they're asking for. Fuck it. Luke Skywalker's back in episode 9. Fuck that shit. A Boba Fett movie. What the fuck? Where do these standards come from that are so high? Is it just because of extended universe shit? There's a ton of people who never read any of those books who are also in on this. So I don't know if that can really be blamed. It's just a lot of it's posturing on both sides, I think. Ultimately, when you come down to it, everyone just wants to feel like they're being heard or make sure that people, their peers, know that they're part of the team. And it's going to wreck Marvel now. The James Gunn thing is a kind of a fatal blow. I'm had Infinity War on. I got it last night. Watching it again. I just had the volume down. I'm recording videos, obviously, but I mean, James Gunn's fingerprints are all over this fucking movie, and probably already all over Infinity War 2, whatever it's going to actually be called. And just beyond making Guardians 3, he's become one of the central creative forces in the Marvel project. And it's the only cinematic universe that worked because it was the only one that took time to build trust with people. And it would be a damn shame to see it fall off, right, especially right before and as it reaches its first climactic super event. Hopefully just the first of many. With them getting back the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, it gives them foes that can outmatch Thanos again so that they can build to another 20 movies from now. It could be a giant super battle against Apocalypse in an Age of Apocalypse universe. Or 20 movies from now, it could be a real, like, all Marvel versus Galactus kind of fucking thing. They have that potential now, but we might not ever fucking get there because either they've lost James Gunn and that's going to cause them to stumble, or they're successful at bringing James Gunn back. And that's going to cause a rift. James Gunn didn't do anything wrong. Absolutely not. And neither did Roseanne. If James Gunn's brought back, there's a whole slew of people who should be brought back. And if they don't bring them back, it makes things very obviously one-sided. And that's not good for marketing. Whether or not we want to pretend to be pro-socialist, this is still a capitalist fucking society full of capitalist fucking people and capitalist companies. So throwing out the entire conservative market seems to be utter foolishness, or vice versa. You need money to actualize your ability to access life. Why would you chase that away? Especially since on a corporate level, in order to be able to succeed as far as the stock market is concerned, you have to show eternal growth. You're not going to get eternal growth while you're constantly purposely shedding people. And the whole thing is just a giant turnoff. Also, for Star Wars, I just don't see how it's salvageable. What's their marketing strategy for their new audience now? Come watch Star Wars. We have toxic fans. Our fans are horrible people. Horrible people like our wonderful product. Come and watch it. That's all an effect and purpose of some of the things they've had. Actual people who work for Lucasfilm has basically said, not those exact words, but that's the sentiment overall. Our product's great. Shitty people like it. It's not fun anymore. It's not fun to talk about. It's a drag. I just want to take all my fucking Star Wars shit down. I feel like it's why I started, like, I bought some Transformers shit just because I have too many fucking just Star Wars toys. I'm tired of it. It's old. And you're gonna ruin Marvel now. Because like I said, either way it's fucked over the James Gunn thing. Either they've lost a core voice of what was shaping like their entire cosmic side of the universe and whatnot. Do you think Taika Waititi's Thor 3 would have been quite the same if James Gunn had not already set the tone for what extraplanetary shit's supposed to be like in the Marvel Universe? Or he comes back and then, well, what are all the alt media people going to do? Are they just going to sit there and be okay with it? Are they gonna make a big fake crusade? I already heard Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers saying how he still stands with James Gunn shouldn't come back. Well, hey everybody, this is Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. How you doing today? We're gonna talk about some Star Wars stuff so I can gin up a bunch of outrage amongst people who really barely seem to know anything about the damn franchise when you talk with them. But, hey, a lot of them are watching it once. So, in order for them to feel like they're interacting with me, they got to throw money at me. And if I do that 2 or 3 times a day, shit, I don't have to work at the gas station no more. Look. Fun things can't be fun if we're constantly using them as volleyballs and our nonsensical political fights. You're not each other's enemies. You're the same tribe. You have petty differences on tax policies and what to spend them on, and that's about it. All this shit about race and diversity and sex and diversity and it's a marketing strategy. Companies are trying to have a more international platform in terms of what they can sell. Not I'm talking in terms of speech, but they don't want to alienate anyone. And so they have to tamp down on nativistic tribal rivalries, at least from their point of view, because they don't want people in country blah, blah, blah being offended if someone over here says something about them, even though they themselves talk all sorts of shit about us and their neighbors and crap, because everyone on earth is like this. Racism is natural and not unhealthy because we have multiple races and we need them to keep the human race from an entirety from going extinct by having all these little subgroups, both in terms of having different cultures and also having slight variations, not in their genetic makeup, but in how those genes are expressed. It's not just genetics is fucking complicated. Having multiple races keeps us from all being wiped out from the same disease, but also keeps us from all being wiped out from the same cultural phenomenon. If everyone was dependent on the same kind of food source, and that food source went away, and there's no other cultures that had developed other things to eat, by way of example, everyone could end up dying of starvation. Luckily, we're way past that kind of shit. There's also an argument I once heard by Styx Hexenhammer that I rather liked about trying to have a unified globe without a bunch of distinct countries and nations and peoples. means you have no chance of outside intervention if things ever go bad. And even if things are great for the first couple of centuries, at some point in the future, the wrong people will get into power. And there'll be no one to come rescue you if everyone is molded under the same authority. That's the strength of diversity. Unfortunately, I don't think the left understands that at all. And the right's in a weird position. There are some older traditionalist things going on there, and there is more of a racial hierarchy type thinking going on there than they themselves would like to admit. But also, the right has become extremely tolerant. I mean, during the last election, the right had a big, diverse group of people running for president. And I mean, at one point, Herman Cain was like their number one guy for briefly before Trump smashed him and everyone else. I wonder, in an alternate universe where it was Hillary Clinton versus Herman Cain, who would David Duke have supported? Who would the white supremacists, who would they have backed if the Republicans had run the non-white guy versus a white person on the Democrat side? The Democrats gave us nothing. Bernie Sanders had to kind of force his way in, and they shut him out at every turn. And the only like legitimate people who came through the DNC who were real members of the party were like so milquetoast, like obviously just chosen to that no one would want to ever vote for them. They didn't put Cory Booker or anybody who had any kind of national traction against Hillary Clinton in the primary. Bernie Sanders forced his way in. They did not want him there. And he was the only exception. So no matter what, the Democrats are going to run a white person. They're extremely undiverse. And yet they're the ones selling the message of diversity and that the Republicans are the racists and whatnot. No, there's some weird shit going on there. There definitely is. I'm not even sure what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Didn't this start off about me complaining about how Star Wars conversations devolve into shit about politics? God fucking damn it.